My name is Ariana Heinzman, and I live on Vashon Island, which is a small island outside of Seattle. So I live on a small farm, and then I have a studio that's on the north end that's in someone else's barn. So I'm a ham builder. I'll extrude coils from an extruder, which is like a long string of clay that I'll wrap around and smooth the sides, and that's how I do most of my building. I use underglaze, which is a pigmented liquid clay, and that's why it has such a matte finish. And I fire it up to full temperature, so it's almost like a second skin to the under clay level. Instead of it reflecting light, being kind of glitzy and flashy in that way, it's absorbing light, which I think is a really calming feeling. So you go into the piece because it's not reflecting light back at you. And so the color is just really vibrant. So I've been experimenting a lot with materials. That's sort of my first love, is just playing with materials. So metal is everything that clay is not. It has its own superpowers. So I am bending it, and if it falls, it doesn't break, and I can really wrestle with it. And I'm actually cold bending a lot of the steel myself, which is really just me wrestling with metal. I took kind of a break from doing any sort of production pottery last year to really focus on learning how to weld, and also learning how to screen print, which is another new thing for me. My art practice becomes this sort of safe place where I can exercise those techniques of how do I deal with something I can't control, and how do I take advantage of a situation where I can control it. In the studio, I was allowing myself just to make forms and then just to work with the surfaces, and I didn't have this expectation of it becoming anything. I was just working with my instincts and what went with what, and I just started stacking them just as an act of organization and building. And that is where I thought it was just really fun to have this just column of these things that I wasn't thinking would go together. So in that respect, it's sort of adding that lack of control, playing with these objects that I didn't know what they were. I didn't have control over what I wanted them to be, and then having a controlling act of stacking them and then them becoming something. Well, the vessel is such an interesting thing to reference. It's a vessel, it holds something, it's about being contained. So all of these ideas that you can use as metaphors for whatever, it's just something that I think humans feel so viscerally, and it's making vessels crosses cultures, working with clay crosses cultures. So that's always a really fun thing to reference and to play upon. I think it's a very human experience to have this push and pull with nature, to really want to escape from human society that can be very distressing at times, and escape into nature. But then when we get into nature, we feel very vulnerable and want to escape back. So that push and pull, I just find it something that I deal with on a regular basis. Living on a farm, you're battling the wild. All of the ideas come later. The actual act of making is what's important. It's important for me to be joyful and responding, and to be enjoying making the work. And so I really focus on that in my making. I don't want to be stressed out when I'm working. That's the time where I'm really having fun. And so I work very intuitively, and I just respond to what I'm seeing directly. I'm not trying to have a really critical mind space when I'm making my work.